Hey guys, so today's video is going to be about how much that just hurt. Anyway, today's video is going to be a tutorial on how to make these. Like all of my sewing videos, I do want to suggest scrubbing through it once before. I am making things up as I go. I have to do a lot of backtracking. So again, I just recommend people scrub through the video, see where I've made errors and where you could potentially not have errors in your own designs. Anyway, I have no need to be making more overall shorts, but I want to. So that's what we're gonna do. I have this fabric. It's an old bed sheet. It's not exactly denim. It's a bed sheet, but it's pretty, it's one of those like stiffer bed sheets. This is a flat sheet. I'm going to try recreate these out of this. Let's go. My best recommendation for you is to either use a pair of overalls or overall shorts that you already own that you know fit well. I know that's not an option for everybody. If you do not have access to overalls or overall shorts that fit you, I am going to do my best to give you what my measurements are and how much bigger the measurements of each piece are going to be. That sounds complicated. Alright, listen up, rodeo clowns. I made this way too difficult on myself and decided to measure everything and talk about it on camera, and I have no time to edit that. It's too complicated. You're not gonna understand it. I barely understand it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna speed through this whole shebang, and at the end of this video, if you scrub all the way through, I'm gonna throw up a nice little template of my body measurements, the front measurements of this overall short situation that I have, the back measurements, and you can take that, screenshot it, print it out, do whatever you want with it, but then just draw out exactly the measurements or whatever you come up with for your body size, draw them on your fabric, and then cut them out about 1.5 inches bigger for seam allowances, and we are golden. And I can skip editing like 20 minutes of this video. Thank you. Cool. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so to begin, you're going to start by placing your template on top of your fabric, whether that is a pair of overall shorts that you already own, a pair of high-waisted baggy shorts that you have, maybe it's a piece of paper that you've marked out like a template of your own measurements based on the measurements I provide at the end of this video. Whatever it is, you'll place it on your fabric and you are going to chalk onto your fabric about 1.5 inches away from your template all the way around all of the edges. And that 1.5 inches of fabric is going to be your seam allowances so that when you sew your pieces together, you will sew them down to the exact measurements that you're looking for. Great! Now you get to cut it out. Okay, so there is my first outline. There she is. She's kind of okay looking. Flip it over and then just trace exactly around it this time and then cut it out so that you have a mirror image of this. We got 2 ridiculously giant looking front squares. Wonderful. Okay, so now that we have these 2, now we're gonna work on the back pieces. So while I'm going to follow this line of my overalls, which goes all the way up here, if you're just doing this based off of a pair of shorts that you own, you can just stop it and make the bottom portion of your overalls a pair of shorts essentially, and then add on this top part later. You'll just add a waistband all the way around and then sew this part onto the top. Wake up this morning, make the mistake of turning on. And this is where you're going to start pulling this fabric out from underneath. So be careful not to move where your space is over here. This is kind of complicated, but you basically like roll it under. So you'll pull that out. So now, see how this is all tucked in? It's because it's all sewn onto the bottom, but I need to get this out even and straight. So now this looks way further than it was. It's definitely more than 1.5 inches, but it's still right. I promise. I hope. Nothing but bad news, empty avenues rolling on the screen. Oh, walk to the kitchen and make myself a... Now before we go forward, we do have to come up with the pockets for the inside. So I've turned my overalls inside out just to see how pockets are designed. I'm gonna recreate a shape like this. I'm just going to trace around this and add a little bit of length on this side.
The older man getting in something tame on his balcony. Oh, yeah, we both have been stuck in our apartments for 2 months too long. We don't even get along, but the world just fell apart straight out of the blue.
Okay, so this is what a pocket's gonna look like, basically. Essentially just half of an oval. Okay, so go ahead and make 2 of those. So cut another one of those out of your fabric. And then I'm gonna take my front squares, take this, fold it right in half, line up the corners right, and then I'm going to fold this down until it hits where the lines of this are. And I'm actually just going to cut this edge off because this is now going to line up with the edge of my overall. So now my piece should look like this. Do that on my second piece too, except I need it to be a mirror image. This one's gonna go upside down on top of it. Okay, so now you've got 2 pieces just like that. So now you have your pockets cut out. You're gonna take the front of your pants and lay it out upside down. This is the back of my fabric. And then I'm going to place this side right side up and line up that diagonal line of the pocket. I'm gonna lay it out flat, fold it over once, iron it down, and then fold it over one more time. Throw some pins in there. You're gonna sew 2 rows on here just so it's nice and sturdy. And then you're gonna do that on the other side as well. This is where I recommend watching my videos before actually trying to execute things, because I did this a little out of order and now I'm running into a roadblock. Basically what I'm learning here is for this pocket, don't sew all the way up. You're gonna wanna leave like maybe a little bit of like an inch not sewn to the top of the pocket, because if you don't, this pocket, when you fold it over, is gonna have like this much gap where you can't sew it together. If it's not done all the way to the top, you'll still be able to fold the pocket all the way over in half, which also brings me to the fact that I probably should have sewn the bottom together before I sewed the pocket to the pants. Take that information for what you will. I'm going to just troubleshoot around it. Right now I am ironing the inside of the pocket inward because they're going to go in the seam. So when I fold it over like this, I'm going to have all those edges tucked inwards, and then I'm going to sew a row of stitching here. So that's why I'm ironing these edges right now. So there's my pocket. This is the inside of the pocket. I'm gonna just sew a nice little straight stitch right across, and then I'm gonna do that on the other side as well. I've tried my best. This is what the pocket is looking like. Notice how the side doesn't quite line up. Something to consider when making your own pair pocket allowance. Maybe not fold it quite in half. I don't know. You'll have to play with that. I think it'll be okay though, because this has to get folded in for the seam anyway, so we'll see how that turns out. Now we get to start pinning together all sides of the shorts and see if they line up at all. Okay, so I've pinned my shorts together. This middle part, that is the area that goes into your crotch. This is the front of the shorts. So what I'm going to do is on this curve, I'm going to cut some slits in there so that it's easier to roll over. Right here and right here. So now those can fold easier, because otherwise you've got fabric that's pulling on itself. Roll this like that right over these pins that I have. Because what I'm going to do, so if you look on the front side, you see how there's a seam right here. I want to put 2 lengths of thread, just like I did on the pockets. So I want something to hold on to in there, and I don't want any open edges. I'm going to take my iron, and I'm going to iron over an edge right about here, just so that there's something to tuck in. I'm going to do that all the way around. And now I'm going to do that once more. And I'm actually going to take these pins and pin them like this. And then again, just to reiterate, I am doing double seams on all of the seams on this garment, just because I want a nice sturdy thing to play in, right? So as I am sewing these seams, I'm putting in one straight stitch across, and then I'm lining that stitch up on the foot, and I'm running one straight parallel next to the one that I had done previously. I have pinned the front of the shorts onto Carmen, and this is what they're looking like so far. I sewed this front seam together, and now I just have to do the same on the back, and then I will start working on getting the sides put together. In this clip, you might notice that I am folding the seam a little differently. I did find that doing this method, where I have both pieces flat together, ended up being a little bit easier for me to control my seam with. You just have to make sure that you are putting your hand between the two pieces when you're putting the pins in, so that they're not completely pinned together this way. Now you're going to take the front side of your pants, and you're going to connect the crotches, and you're going to sew those together. Guys, they're shaping up. So I sewed together the crotch area, and as of right now, I have just pinned the sides together, so they're not quite how I want them yet. There's still some messing around to be done, but crotch is done. These seams, front and back, are done. I have tried seeing what it's going to look like when I roll these up. Looks cute. Right now, I'm just going to flip these inside out and keep working on getting the fit for the side seam right. I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing with the double stitched seam and just do that on both sides. I am not going to go all the way up. I'll probably stop right around here so that I can add a waistband onto here next, and then I will sew the rest of the seam together once I've hemmed over the edge of this guy too. I'll bring you along for that stuff.
Tuscany, Italy, eating carbonara and read Machiavelli. While the world ends, that's where I will be. Go back to mom.
Woo! Okay. Sides are done. I now have a very wide pair of shorts going on. Now I have to put in the waist. What is that called? Waist guard? No. Waistband. Now that I have this done, I have to put in the waistband to cover up this edge. This is actually super simple. You're going to cut out a long rectangular piece of fabric that's going to be about 1.5 inches longer on each side, and it's going to be double the width that you actually want your waistband to be. I think I'd probably want it to be about maybe 2 inches. Yeah, I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to iron each side down to 2 inches. So I'm going to throw this edge into the inside of my waistband. There's our waistband. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it over this. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to take my sides of this, and I'm going to put probably about 1 inch of this inside of there, maybe less. So I'll close this around it, and I'm just going to pin it in. Okay, so once you have your waistband on there, you're going to run it through the sewing machine real quick. Just right along the edge. You can do 2 seams if you want, or just 1. They're starting to look like real things happening. I'm going to take care of the seams down here. I'm just going to even out the fabric because apparently I didn't measure right. Welcome to my life. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just get those kind of finished up. And then we're going to start working on the top, and then we're going to get close to finishing. Got the shorts finished off. Shorts are pretty much finished. So now, before I work on the back, I'm going to finish off the front because the front is going to determine how long my straps are. What I need to do now is I need to create kind of a trapezoid piece.
I don't think Erin knows that she's wearing her sweatshirt inside out. Oh, water on my plans, and I just might.
So now that we have our trapezoid, I am going to basically just stitch it. I'm going to find the middle, line it up with the middle of the pants, and I'm going to hem this under so that there's no open seams, and then I'm going to literally just stitch it straight on to the pants with a straight seam across. Alright, she's attached. starting to look like some overall shorts, if you ask me. So now that it's attached, I'm going to start working on the side seams and this boy. Before I close this, I'm going to hem this because it's going to go into the side. Trust me, just trust me. Hem this first and on the other side, and then close up this seam right here. Okay friends, we are on the home stretch. We just have to put the straps on, essentially. Before the straps though, there is this little diamond kind of looking shape. What I have noticed about this is that it has 2 layers. We're basically just going to outline in between these pointy parts of our top. And then we're going to follow this line up a little bit, follow this line up a little bit. And now I don't quite have a plan. I'm gonna find this middle by removing here. So now I've got this like little half figure. Again, we're gonna need those seam allowances, so I'm gonna take about an inch, I think, all the way around. So I'm gonna cut about an inch around. I could probably do less, but I'm gonna do an inch just because. I'm gonna wait for a second. I'm going to cut this out at the same exact angle so that it's nice and even. So now that it's at a perfect symmetrical angle, what I need to do is I need to cut an angle like this. This isn't too important. I'm just gonna make this up. It's gonna be at less of an angle than this one. And then I'm just gonna do the same. I'm gonna cut it out about an inch out, and I'm gonna keep it in half so that I can maintain that symmetricalness. Yes, that's the word. Now I've got this shape, and I need one more, so I'm going to trace this onto another piece of fabric. All of the edges on these need to get folded in and ironed down. I would recommend holding it against your actual overalls just so that you can make sure that these edges are going to stay running very nice and even. And this part is all about being symmetrical, so every once in a while just fold it over. These bottom edges are actually only going to fold in about half of the way, and that is so that these pieces will have somewhere to rest inside of that. This is not going to be quite right. Okay, so something that I've learned is first you're going to fold these bottom pieces and then iron this part down so that it continues the line of your overall. Once you've got your 2 pieces together, you're going to open one of them, put your overalls inside, and you're going to close it back up and then pin it into place. I'm going to hem a little bit of this, but not all the way up because I still need to stick my straps in this piece. So as I've been putting this on and taking it off, I have decided I don't like this shape. I've decided I want it to be a diamond shape. It's a little less giant and big. For right now, I'm going to just cut about here and then here on the fabric, so that it's just already into that diamond shape, and then I'm going to sew it closed over the straps once I make the straps. Okay, so my next step is to make straps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out 2 identical rectangles. They're both going to be 7 inches by 18 inches. 18 inches being the length and 7 inches being the measurement of the top of that diamond shape on my overalls is 5.5 inches. So the 7 inches is to add that little bit of seam allowance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this back up. I've got my nice crease there showing exactly where they're going to line up. So I'm going to chalk kind of the outline that I want. I do want to chalk this out because there should be a bit of a curve. So again, because I need that seam allowance to hem them over, I'm going to want to cut out about an inch further than the outline. Once again, once you've finished this first strap, you will just flip it over onto your second rectangle and you will trace around it, adding an inch of seam allowance and basically just making a mirror image of that first strap. I've hemmed both of my straps and now it is time to place them within here. I'm going to pin that. Before I sew them together, I'm going to fold this in half just to make sure the straps are going in exactly the same direction. They are lining up perfectly right on top of each other. So that is exactly where I want them. I don't know how I did that. All right, folks, so I just put the overalls on and I pinned these straps to about where I want them. And then personally, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sew them right on. If you wanted, you could put buttons on them. So I'm just gonna sew these right on.
Tuscany, Italy.
There we go, guys. This is what they're looking like. I did something funky here. I don't know what I did, but I've decided that I'm going to put a button here and a buttonhole here so that I can pull them together when I put them on and it'll cinch it in a little bit. And then I'm also gonna put a pocket here and I'm gonna put maybe 1 or 2 butt pockets there. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those things on here and then I will show you the final product.
On a Vespa in a sunflower field, yeah. Warm wind blowing and birds are singing in cypress trees. Tuscany, Italy, eating carbonara and reading Machiavelli. While the world ends, that's where I will be.
Well, this is how they turned out, guys. Obviously, as you can see, I added a pocket on the front. I have added little buttons on the sides to pull them a little more cinched in. And then I've also added a butt pocket because I thought the back needed a little more dimension. So this is what the back looks like. I mean, it was kind of a rough process, but I feel like it turned out pretty okay considering I was really not trying very hard to make things look professional. I don't know, it's a fun little play suit and it is a thrifted sheet, so if it gets destroyed and ruined, so be it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to hit the subscribe button if you like this video, like it, comment, anything. I hope you guys have a good day and I will see you next week. Bye.
Dress. Looking all cute.